guys? Welcome to my video. Today we're reviewing Dark Shadows. This came out in 2012 and was directed by Tim Burton and stars Johnny Depp and Eva Green. Now before we start, hit the like button, subscribe, and post notification bell so you know every video. And let's get started. Let's start talking about the good. So all the action and actors in this film are fantastic. I really enjoyed every single performance in this film. The opening sequence I thought was good. It's basically Barnabas, played by Johnny Depp, his backstory, including how his parents died, with Barnabas's voiceover, and Barnabas is transforming into a vampire, which is a great scene. And Angelique, who is played by Eva Green, and she is burying Barnabas alive. She is sort of the witch in the opening sequence, and I thought that the opening sequence captured what this film is. It's creepy, but it also has some humor to it. The cinematography, which includes shots, cameras, lighting, is great. The film looks very creepy while still being somewhat vibrant. And I really enjoyed that about this film because Tim Burton knew how to balance the creepiness with the comedy, which I'll get to later. But overall, I thought the film looked great. The practical and special effects are great. Tim Burton knows how to use his practical and special effects, and the special effects are not too prominent in the film. He knows when to use them and when not to use them. The practical effects, I love Tim Burton's practical effects because they're fantastic. The first of the film was very entertaining. I thought they set up the characters well. Things happen with Barnabas that are both funny, a little bit creepy, and works for his overall character. So the first half of the film overall, I thought it was very entertaining. There's also a great Barnabas resurrection scene in the first act of the film where Barnabas ends up killing construction workers. Since he's a vampire, of course, he's just biting them, drinking their blood, all that stuff. Great sequence, and it works for his character because he is a ruthless character in this film. The second half of the film, I thought it was good. It continues the film, progresses it well enough. I thought it was interesting about how the dynamics between the characters worked and how the different characters interacted in the second act of the film. There's also great interaction between Barnabas and the rest of the Collins family, which the Collins family is good. They're just a very messed up family, and I thought it worked for this film. It was perfect. The Collins family, every single one of the actors and actresses who portray a character in the Collins family, they're awesome. Very, very funny, very creepy at times. There's also great dialogue and interaction between Barnabas and Angelique, who came back from the dead. Angelique did rise from the dead after she died. And Eva Green is fantastic. She is very, very good as Angelique. Of course, Angelique, played by Eva Green, is a great villain. I thought she worked for this film. She was very funny at times, and she was very, very terrifying at times. The psychiatrist sequence is great. It's basically Barnabas and Julia Hoffman, played by Helena Bonham Carter. Helena Bonham Carter is great in this film. I really enjoyed her performance as Julia Hoffman. She is a vampire, and the death of Julia Hoffman is a bit creepy, and it works for this film because Barnabas just kills her. He ends up biting her neck, and then you see the blood draining out of the little packet, and you see the reveal that she is actually a vampire. And it worked very, very well. There's also a great cameo by Alice Cooper in the second half of the film. I don't really know why he was in this film, but Alice Cooper, he's in this film, and I thought it was a great little cameo. There's also many creepy and terrifying sequences, especially Josette, who's Barnabas' wife. In the beginning of the film, she dies by jumping to her death, and there are sequences with sort of Josette's ghost sequences. They are very, very creepy, and they fit the tone of the film perfectly in that sequence. There's also many hilarious scenes, especially the breakfast scene where Barnabas Collins and the rest of the Collins family are sitting around a table and eating. It is very, very funny. And Barnabas Collins being out of place in the current society, so he ends up sort of course, rising from the dead. And he's in this current society, current modern society, and he has no clue what he's doing since he was a vampire back in the old days. And I thought it was very, very funny. The third act of the film, I thought it was awesome. Angelique is terrifying. She is very, very scary in this third act, and it works because her character is the villain. Eva Green is fantastic as Angelique, like I said earlier, and her villain is downright terrifying. There's also a great reveal of Carolyn Stoddard, who's played by Chloe Grace Moretz, who's one of the members of the family, the Collins family. She ends up being a werewolf, which was very surprising because I didn't really think she was. I thought she was either going to be a vampire or nothing at all, but she was a werewolf, so it was a good way to tie in a few monsters in there. So I thought it worked well enough. The final battle was awesome. It's basically Barnabas and his family versus Angelique. They're fighting. Of course, half of them are vampires. You have the werewolf played by Chloe Grace Moretz. Awesome. Great, great final battle. The score by Danny Elfman is great. I really enjoy Danny Elfman's score in this film. He has this creepy, intense score, but also a sort of upbeat score that really fits the film well. And the ending sequence I thought was great. It's basically Victoria jumps off cliff. Barnabas ends up saving her by biting her neck before she hits the rocks, and of course turns into a vampire, so she's not going to die by falling off the rock. So I thought it worked very well. That's all the good I have now. Let's move on to the bad. So some song choices do feel weird within the film. Not Danny Elfman's own composed score. What he composed himself is fantastic. The rest of it, I could do without. There are a lot of pop songs in this film, which made no sense for this film because it is. I understand that he wanted to show that Barnabas is now in the current time period and you have these pop songs. But for me, it did not fit the tone at all. I really would have liked an older feel to the film. And there are some slow and unnecessary sequences, especially the scene with the hippies and Barnabas. That went on for a bit too long. If he would have condensed it, it would have made it much smoother. That's about it. Dark Shadows is a good enough fantasy horror film. I recommend it if you're a Tim Burton fan, and I'm going to give Dark Shadows a B-. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like button, subscribe to the post notification bell so you never miss a video. I'm Peter. Thank you for watching.